You all, and you are welcome to the second session for today. We can't talk about coastal and marine resources conservation and management without coming through the community or without involving the community. Hence, the keynote talk from Plastic Punch.
Hi, good morning. My name is Richmond. Richmond Kennedy Quarcoo. Permits me to introduce myself. I'm a Merchant Navy officer by profession. I'm currently director at Plastic Punch. I also sit on the management committee board at the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Studies. Also instructor and organizer this past Kwesi Summer School in Ghana and Nigeria. So I'm going to be showing you a little bit about what we do at Plastic Punch and also to motivate and speak on different approaches we could use to engage communities that we serve in line with science communication and disseminating our data. Next slide, please. Okay, I have this. All right. I want to show you how beautiful Ghana is. I know you've been here, but you're more than encouraged to look around. And I do this always with the hope that one day I become a tourism ambassador for this country. So this is a reminder what ocean literacy is the ability to understand the ocean's fundamental properties, processes, communicate effectively about the ocean, and make informed, responsible decisions about the ocean and its resources. That's NOAA's definition. I've also added UNESCO definition right there. And community leadership in Africa has not been a new thing. We've always had different ways we do this. There's been taboos, ethics, and standards. So I put a picture of a turtle over there, and that is from the New Ningo community, one of the communities where we work over here in Ghana, where fisher folks are catching more plastics than fishes. The reason this picture is there is that in this community, they have the norm, or by their traditional values, they do not poach sea turtles. So when you go there, you do not find anyone poaching sea turtles like in other communities along the coastline in Ghana. And with that knowledge, they seek to protect, because they believe it's linked. They have a history that when their ancestors were finding New Ningo Pram, the boat capsized, and then a big giant turtle came. They went on top of this turtle, and then it brought them to the coastline, to this community where they are right now. For that reason, they protect this as much as possible. And these are the ways that we have been, ocean literacy has been going with our traditional values over here. There's also, I want to highlight something really amazing from Uganda, which is something we're doing in Ghana, that's communal labor. In Uganda, they call it Umuganda, is the mandatory cleanup, monthly cleanup by communities. And these are ways that communities are mobilizing themselves. And these are best practices that I believe we should all tap into. Ubuntu is there because we are all together in this. It's one ocean, one planet, and we cannot act alone. We all need to work together to be able to achieve our... I'll tell you a little bit of Plastic Punch. My colleague will say more. We are an NGO using citizen science to raise awareness on plastic pollution and coming up with sustainable waste management solutions. So we do like big beach cleanups. We are very much aware that beach cleanup is not a solution to the plastic pollution menace because there's going to be more tides coming. However, we collect relevant data on who is polluting, what is polluting, involving the communities that we serve. So an example of a cleanup will have like 300 to 600 people, depending on the type of beach cleanup. And then we collect data on the types of pollutants, as you see here. These data sets are used to guide policy direction, and the community also feels involved. If the community feels involved, they follow up with their representatives. For example, in New Ningo, so this is a data set from RMU. When the community finds shoes, bags, they ask the relevant questions. How come we are finding shoes in our data sets? How come we are finding a lot of toys in our data sets? How come we are finding a lot of textiles from our data sets? When these things are not coming from the sources that is linking to the ocean or from our community, this instigates a lot and creates a lot of community participation in these issues. We are able to also do a correlation to understand, and also together with the municipal assembly, understand and help them with their waste management situations. We also do collect data on brands to be able to put the business side into the community. Businesses have a role to play. They are one of the biggest contributors to what is happening right now. However, with the uprise of greenwashing, we need to find innovative ways to involve them and get them more responsible for their mess, and permit me to use that word, and only by data. So with this brand audit data, for example, at Plastic Punch, my colleague will speak more, we are able to instigate or advocate for the extended producer responsibility regime in Ghana. With the types of plastics, we are able to, or we started to negotiate or talking right now about banning problematic plastics in Ghana, guided by these data sets that we have over here. So just a few slides to show the process. This is in Quarcoo, one of the communities we work, and I'll be speaking more on this and go to the other issues. So March 2022, this is how this beach looked like. Then after 26th March beach cleanup, you see how clean and nice it is. And then after March 26th, this is it. And then before June 4th, this is it. We've created our own protocols adapted to the OSPA protocol and other existing protocols. So over here is a testimony, and it's a video which I wish will be clicked. So this is a video from, wow, this is a video from the Metropolitan Health Officer in one of the communities we work, Kroa Municipal Assembly, saying that since Plastic Punch got into Nungwa in 2019, they have not recorded any issues of flooding from the community. And this is because we were able to go into the data sets, realize that they are getting a lot of PET bottles, we connect them to recyclers, and this is how we've been able to drastically reduce. Is there a way to play this video so that, IT, could you help?
What Legacy is doing, to me, is very, very important, because collecting these plastics,
that's the Metropolitan Officer speaking,
waste from the plastics that is causing aquatic death is reduced. And then this year, when we had flood, no water entered into anybody's room, and nobody complained about flooding too, because the system is now clear. Plastic Punch may not know all the sources of these plastics. But if you engage community participation, they will now bring it from all the obscure corners, and then plastic will be out from our midst.
So that is from the Kroa Municipal Assembly. And yeah, so beside using this data set to work in communities, we believe that the traditional community leadership has shifted. Of course, we have our pastors and religious leaders and traditional leaders in the community. However, there are new generation of community leaders, like we saw yesterday, Nancy doing a lot of work with storytelling, and the ladies from Nigeria, all doing great work with storytelling, using social media in different forms. At Plastic Punch, we believe in the power of music and in the power of people we call celebrities. So, all right, 2 minutes. So we have the Global Citizen Festival where we take part. I'm not going to play that video. I have only 2 minutes. And yeah, so ideally with this festival, we bring people together to talk about yeah. So opportunities, I'll jump straight up to opportunities in community leadership. And this is where I believe that we need to harness more the indigenous knowledge that we have and these tools we have over here. We need to leverage on existing initiatives like Coisin over the weekend, in the course of this week, where we used best practices from Collect Litter, for example, with the Science and Plastic Working Group, tried best practices and working citizen science approaches to be able to see and spread. So with Coisin, you can see all those 30 members of the Plastic Working Group are going to be sending this back to their faculties and into their universities and starting different protocols. And this will increase the data sets that we have on these issues around needles and macroplastics, etc. Challenges has always been there. There's access to finance, which has always been a problem. People do not understand or appreciate that raising awareness and community engagement and community entry comes with a cost, and this is something that we need to remember. Brain drain is a big one. Most of the time, there's a lot of consultation from the Global North, etc. And then we give all the relevant data and ways and tools. Papers are published, and sometimes you don't find yourself in these papers, or even what you said is not captured. And this has to stop, because it's one ocean, one planet, and we need to share best practices to be able to go forward. We need an all-inclusive nature, and why I put all-inclusive also is sometimes academia is also biased to academia, if I can put it this way. we sometimes underrate the work of people because you are a doctor and it's a BSc student, so then his work, because you're a professor, and then you do not give that value. And like the previous speaker, there has to be more energy given to minds burden up, and we should be able to come. There are also underlying economic factors which are challenges to this. Most of these communities have other issues than ocean conservation or ocean literacy. Yeah. So on this note, before I step off, I'll play the video from the Global Citizen Festival so that you see how we are able to engage massive communities and please, you can play the video. And this is a different approach. So Power Our Planet is one of the initiatives of our partners at Global Citizen, which is looking at mobilizing the relevant finance to end poverty, fight climate change for girls and planet. On this note, I leave you to this last festival from Global Citizen for you to have a feel of how we engage the communities in a very fun, cool way.
Oh my Zaba, my lover. I tell you about oh my Zaba. I say oh my Zaba, oh my Zaba, my lover. Party, 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 party. See, all of the champion, all of them in the dance, put on a buckle up them in the air. Whoa, bust it up, stick it up, everybody.
Say, tell me what you need from me now. I'm not what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now.
That's our president.
No, no more damage. Back then when I was a baby girl,
Thank you for your attention. More punching.